Let's bring in my guest is Dr. Salisu Rogo, Special Advisor to the Governor of Kano State on Special Duties. Special Advisor to the Governor on Special Duties in the Kano State House of Assembly. Dr. Rogo, thank you so much for coming on the program. Can you hear me, Dr. Rogo?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Let's begin by what we heard that played out in Kano, the new nomination for the deputy governorship position after the resignation of the former deputy governor of the state. Do you have an idea what were the political considerations before that decision was taken?
You see, Kano is a different state. Kano has its own form of politics. You know, recently our governor, His Excellency Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, defected to All Progressive Congress. And as a result of that, he has a new form of family from the older APC. It's only fair if you allow them to sit down within themselves, make consultations and come up with a viable candidate for the position. And the governor allowed them to go and take all the necessary democratic measures and come up with their preferred candidate, and that candidate is going to be considered by the government. This is exactly what happened. And secondly, some of us from the older Konkosia family, we realized the political sagacity of Murtala Silagaru, because Murtala Silagaru is a pillar in the older APC. As a result of his grassroots presence, he is the most rooted grassroots present politician within the youth in Kano State. And you know, after much consultation with the stakeholders in APC, and they suggested Murtala Silagaru, and some of us are even happy. We have been praying for somebody that will assist His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, to, you know, efficaciously get his second term without any tears. And Murtala is a factor to reckon with. And secondly, Murtala Silagaru is a youth, because today there have been yearnings within the quarters of Kano that youth should be allowed, you know, to form the next deputy governor. And being the youth, somebody below the age of 50, I think is a factor to reckon with. And additionally, Murtala Silagaru is a public benefactor. He is a philanthropist. And as a result of that, I think choosing Murtala Silagaru is the best decision that Kano political family or APC political family within the Kano should have done. And I'm happy for the governor, and I'm happy for all of us within the APC family that Murtala Silagaru is elected, because Murtala is a factor, is a big pillar within the APC family. During the 2023 election, Murtala alone, it was a big fight, and we really appreciate him coming to the poll, sees the APC family within Kano and beyond.
Let me bring in Ms. Aide Ojo, is a public affairs and political analyst, to join us. Ms. Ojo, thank you so much for coming through and joining us on the program. Ms. Ojo, can you hear me? If you can help us unmute your device, Ms. Ojo.
Yes, I have.
Fantastic. So, I'm sure you've been watching and seeing what has been playing out. I reminded the audience that today is a day when the primaries are officially open for political parties to start putting their house in order as to who will be nominated to represent the party in the next election. Besides that, we've also seen movement. Shekarawa has gone back to the APC, or gone to the APC in this sense. You know, he contested as presidential candidate in ANPP in 2011. We've seen the deputy governor of a nominee for the deputy governorship position in Kano State. We've seen members of the Assembly, National Assembly, defecting across party lines. ADC, PDP, leadership tussle waiting with bated breath for the Senate, for the Supreme Court. But there are nuances in all of this, and that is the fact that there are concerns being raised about the politics of imposition. What do you make of it? Because we're seeing certain persons may not return to the Senate if care is not taken, because certain persons are not interested in the Senate position. What do you make of it?
Thank you, Geoffrey. So this whole alignment and realignment of forces ahead of every general election is not new. It's always happened ahead of every election. But coming to issues around imposition, I think the political elite have misrepresented and misinterpreted what the provision of consensus means. If you look at, I think, Section 84 of the Electoral Act, which speaks to the mode of primaries, we know for a fact that indirect primaries have been removed, and that even for consensus, that provision in the Electoral Act did say that the fact that there is that aspirants will be allowed to buy form, and if in the course of and you can have your screening, after the screening exercise, you can then negotiate. It's like an alternative dispute resolution mechanism within the party. You can negotiate and say, okay, my brothers, my sisters who want to contest, I will want you to step down. I want you to step down.
My sincere apologies, Mr. Ojo. Just a moment, sir, if you can hear me. I'll come back to you in just a moment, but I need to do this quickly. Only on our DSTV platform, we will now cross over to Kano State, coincidentally where one of our guests is speaking to us from, for a live coverage of the visit by the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, for the national flag off and northwest deployment of energized commercialization, now known as ECON. It's an initiative of the Federal Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology taking place in Kano State. That is only on our DSTV platform. Our program, the Lunchtime Politics, will continue on other platforms, including our terrestrial platform. Mr. Ojo, my apologies, I didn't want to cut into your thoughts, but I needed to do that. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you need to make money. So what I'm saying is that the consensus arrangement does not preclude other people contesting. Aspirants are allowed to buy form. And before the day of the primaries, if amongst themselves they all decided to step down for the preferred aspirant, then they have to formally write to the party leadership withdrawing from the race and in the same breath endorsing whoever the party prefers as the aspirant. And that even at that, you still will have to have a validation meeting, or what they call a kind of affirmation. So that still has to happen. But what we are seeing, the trend we are seeing is that both in the northern part of Nigeria and the southern part of Nigeria, the use of consensus is like to the exclusion of every other person. Look at what happened in Ogun East Senatorial District, where Governor Dapo Abiodun was allegedly endorsed. They deliberately refused Senator Gbenga Daniel, who also happens to be former governor of the state. They refused him entry into that caucus meeting. Why should that happen? He is entitled to is a member of the APC. He should have been allowed to come in. If the gentleman does not want to step down for the governor, then they will be allowed to have a direct primary. That's just the way it should work. But what we are seeing in many states across the country is this imposition of candidates. And that is a gross abuse of the consensus mode of primary. Because this is why there will be so many litigations. Look at what played out in Nasarawa, where the governor decided, purportedly after consultation, that Senator Aliyu Wadada would be his successor. I watched your Politics Today yesterday with Sheikh Okinbaloye, where Senator Tankwa Makura Taha, who also happens to be former governor of the state, said he was never consulted, and that what the Governor Sule had done was premature and hasty, and that it has also is not looking well even on the president, whom he rushed to present the Senator Wadada too. So we see this in Taraba, we see this across several other states, where the governors are behaving like Lord of the Manor, deciding the fate of the electorate or even party members, insisting that this is the consensus candidate. And this is what has also harmed PDP. If you recall, ahead of the November 15, 16 convention in Oyo State, someone like former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, wanted to buy 4. Even when, we already were told that they were zeroing in, the Makinde group was zeroing in on having Kabiru Turaki as the consensus candidate. They refused to sell form to Sule Lamido. And that's why that gentleman went to court, and court gave a verdict that that convention should not hold, except...
All right, Mr. Ojo, let me butt in, Mr. Ojo. My apologies. Let me bring in the other guests. So there's something I want you to specifically intervene. You've mentioned in passing. Mr. Rogo, let's talk about what's playing out in the North. The dynamics of the North can be very delicate, especially the Northwest and maybe the North Central, because of the fluidity of interest. In fact, I watched a fine documentary of a gentleman who did an analytics of what is up in terms of challenge for President Bola Tinubu. In that analytics, he believes that the support base for him is challenged because of organic or inorganic in that sense. Do you think that in 2027, Mr. Rogo, do you think that President Tinubu will get the kind of support he got the last time?
You see, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one of the unifier. Here in the North, we are just, we believe injustice anywhere is threat to injustice everywhere. We believe the North had their 8 years during Buhari's tenure. So this time around is the tenure for the South. And the entire South, there is no any candidate that you can match with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu within the Northern Fold. I'd agree with you that we have issues of insecurity within the Northern Nigeria. We have 1 or 2 challenges, which is not new. It's very obvious. And Tinubu is doing his best to make sure that these challenges are overcome. And we have political entrepreneurs within the northern part of the country, political hula balloons who always go on air, discuss, talk about this or that. They are just there to protect their own political aggrandizement. And believe you me, the northerners themselves, they know truly who their representatives are and who is responsible to direct them on what and what who. If you look at the opposition themselves, who are you going to present that will match Bola Ahmed Tinubu within the northwestern part of the country? This is the question. So if you bring whatsoever candidate you are going to bring within the southern fold,
butting into both of you more often because of the shortness of time. Just one question. Just a moment. In addition to what you're saying, are you saying that as we speak today, the North is happy with President Bola Tinubu? Is that what you're saying?
The North, there is mixed feeling. The North is happy to some extent and not happy to some extent. What makes me to say not happy? Because some people are using insecurity as evidence to go and mislead the public. So Northerners are busy trying to bring about security and stability within the system. Anything Bola Ahmed Tinubu should do within this short period of time is to address to some extent the issue of security within the northern part of the country. And if you look at the foodstuff within, the price of foodstuff, the householders or whatsoever, if you compare it from the time of Muhammad Buhari and now, you still find that ordinary man can afford simple meal.
All right, Mr. Rogo, let me bring in Mr. Ojo because of time. My apologies. I would have thrown the data for you to show you that insecurity is still very prevalent in the North. In fact, the highest mass abduction happened under this administration. That was in Papri. Mr. Ojo, let me come back to you, and I want you to specifically address what you think will play out in the APC that looks solid right now, but there are cracks happening. Delta Central, Omar Agege wants to come back to displace Dafinoni. Delta North, Nwoko wants to come back, but Okowa says he's interested. Ogun East that you mentioned, now it's battle between Abiodun, Governor Dr. Abiodun, and Benga Daniel. Looking at all of this as we close, what do you think is going to happen, and how will this affect the party's performance?
Well, life is about winning and losing. APC definitely will lose some seats, some governorship seats, some senatorial seats, but will also gain. It all depends on how it manages its post-party nomination blues. That is traditional. Every 4 years, whether there is a direct, indirect, or consensus arrangement, there will always be those who will feel aggrieved, who will lead the party to shop for other platforms to contest. And what is not very clear to me at this point, Geoffrey, is whether if you lose in a party, you can still go and join another party, given that provision of Section 77 sub 2 of the Electoral 2026, which says that you have to present, a party have to present the digital and print copies of membership register. That register was supposed to be used to verify who are the party members. So if you are a member of Party A before the party primaries, can you then cross carpet or defect or move to another party after the primaries because you have lost out to now go and contest under a party where your name does not appear before the primary? That would be something that the court will have to adjudicate on, because I know many people will leave APC in the coming days when it is clear that the party leadership have made up their mind about who they want to give the tickets. Like the case in Lagos now, people are talking already that Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat is the preferred aspirant. Ogun, it's already a public knowledge that Senator Olamilekan Solomon Yayi is the APC aspirant. So, for all those who are nursing the governorship ambition, they know that with the party having come out to say this is our preferred candidate, even if they buy the nomination, and you know how much the nomination form is going for, 50 million for governorship, 100 million for presidential, and 30 million, I think, for Senate, and 40 million for Senate, 20 million for House of Reps down the line. So all of this is not coming cheap, and this is not refundable fee. So once you pay it, and the party shuts its door against you because they already have a preferred aspirant, this will definitely lead to post nomination blues, post nomination traumatic disorder. And this may lead to mass defection, but that is point of law as to whether if your name, or can you have your name in more than one political party? In which case, if you you can then cross over and get
Mr. Joe, yes, my apologies. Let me bring in Mr. Rogo to have his last word as well. Mr. Rogo, you have just 30 seconds. So, are you confident that Abba Yusuf will be re-elected in 2027?
Definitely, absolutely confident and absolutely optimistic. Abba Kabir Yusuf in Kano does not have much opposition. Looking at the political gladiators within his poll, looking at his, infrastructural development he brings into Kano, looking at his simplicity and respectfulness for the elders within the Kano politics, Abba Kabir Yusuf does not have any opposition. Some people have been talking about this Konkoso factor and what have you. Konkoso, he is the godfather of Konkosia, and he created 44 local government chairmen. He gave them ticket and whatsoever. With that 44 local government chairmen, none of them followed Konkoso to ADC. If you look at the House of Assembly, within the Konkosia poll, we have almost 26 or 27 members. Within that 26 or 27 members, only 2 followed Konkoso. If you go to the party structure within the Konkosia, NNPP, 44 chairmen of the party followed the governor. So it's starting afresh. For my local government, social media people, this youth that does not have any experience are the ones following Konkoso. So it's going to be very difficult for Konkoso because
all right, Mr. Arogo. Okay, Mr. Arogo, we're totally out of time. It's interesting. It's interesting how you politicians talk, but the numbers say that you cannot ignore somebody like Konkoso. It's at your own detriment to try that. It's shown that he literally almost unseated and stopped the re-election of Abdullahi Ganduje as a sitting governor. So that is not something you take lightly. But of course, it's politics. Everybody can, say what they want and hold their ground. But it's okay. Salisu Rugo, I say to the governor on special duties, Mr. Jideojo, we have a lot of business to do in the coming weeks. Thank you, sir, as always, for coming through. I appreciate it. And that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.